Alex, I had to go away for 3 months. And they moved to Rain and Hell back a couple weeks of shooting so that they could keep me as the character. Otherwise, you would have had another Pascal. Or Winslow would have lived, one or the other. Which wouldn't have made you very happy. But it was great fun. And Arena is on videotape if anyone wants to see it. It's actually quite a nice little sci-fi film, but it's a low budget. You can see the cardboard people in the background. I play cornet. I can't dance. I can't sing. I've done 4 musicals on Broadway. I can pretend that I am.
I've got a picture of you from I Remember Mama.
I Remember Mama.
How was that?
Oh, working with Lee Bowman? I'd rather go back and work for Charlie Band. No, it was Richard Rodgers' last musical. I was written the last song Richard Rodgers ever wrote. Wow. And it was great fun doing it. We had a wonderful cast. We had a very bad script, and I did have some problems with the star. Yes.
I still have one question for all of you. Any of you know how the tunnels began? Like who made it?
A lot of them, the caverns were always there. They are there in Manhattan. There are caverns. There are people living in the caverns of New York City. The tunnels themselves were probably constructed by Con Ed when they laid pipes and to heat the city originally. But the caverns themselves, not maybe the falls or but all that stuff is really in Manhattan. Some Indians, probably. I mean, I don't know for sure.
I have a... When Carolyn and I saw Arena, we sat there staring at each other and said, oh my God, this is a bad science fiction version of the tunnels.
Of the tunnels?
Yes.
Oh, because of the... Yeah, there is some similarity.
There is some similarity there.
Yeah, there is some... But the same idea of the disenfranchised living below the streets because there's no place for them in the regular world. The idea of disenfranchised, well, I just finished to play Richard II, some unknown playwright. And they're disenfranchised in that too, so it's a common theme.
It was an interesting parallel. But...
It worked out that way, yeah. And this time I had to spend all the time in the makeup. And I got to talk to the crew and they didn't know who the hell I was.
That tunnel life concept has been around for a long time, especially in science fiction. You remember the old story about little kids going to Miami and getting an alligator coming home and flushing it down the toilet?
Yes.
Anybody see The Man with One Red Shoe? I did about watching about 1984. I wrote the line of that when we're dropping the guy that played Squiggy on Laverne and Shirley down a manhole. I looked down after him and I said, I was handing him the maps and I said, I marked all the gator holes for you. That's my own line.
Question. Oh, you know, there are, like Armin said, there are lots of people living in the tunnels, you know, in New York. They say there might be, you know, between 10 and 20,000 people who actually do live in tunnels. There are people down there who have set up little homes for themselves, and so we shouldn't forget that this is definitely a true problem. That's why it keeps coming up in movie after movie, is because there are so many people who are disenfranchised and homeless. But they should all be so lucky as to have a warm place like we show.
With no rats or cockroaches.
With no rats or cockroaches, and only one mouse. In the back, there, you. No, that's you.
Yeah. Right. No, the reason they yelled and threw things by day, the raccoons did it by night.
was interesting. That's a good question, Mark. I hope a lot of you have seen Brooklyn Bridge. Michael J. Fox, who of course was made a star by David Goldberg, was asked to direct the last episode that I did on Brooklyn Bridge. And it was interesting because usually it's very, very, very difficult to get a director's position on a TV show. It's a very hard job to get. And usually you have to have a great deal of skill and experience to do it. Michael J. Fox didn't. But, putting that aside, he directed the episode with 105 fever for the 5 or 6 days that we shot. It was very difficult for him. He was also under the thumb, I don't mean to put that badly, of our associate producer, Sam Weissman, who, even with other directors, was always telling the director what to do. So Sam was always telling Michael what to do. But Michael was terrific with the actors and understood how to get performances out of them. But it was hard. It was sad to watch him trying his very best while dealing with a fever. I mean, he literally had to be seated all the time. He was very, very sick. But I thought he did a good job, so it was very nice working with him. Yeah.
I have a question for you, Armin, and I'd like to get David and Rich's response too. Is there anything on music as Pascal that you would have liked to have done?
3 more years.
Yeah. I've always thought that because Vincent and Pascal grew up together, there was that relationship, but I thought there could be a little bit more of that shown. So that, in a sense, is what I would have liked to see more of. And they could have made me taller, I suppose.
I just wanted one time in all of those episodes to actually be cooking something. I would like to have seen that scene I talked about, the duel between Father and William, who can make the best loaf of bread for the best in bread art.
Actually, there was a scene that was written for the Winterfest episode that we never even got to shoot, much less didn't make it to the cutting room floor even, so we never shot it, and that was Catherine teaching Mouse how to dance. I really wanted to do that. You know, Linda never really got to do anything on the show that was light. As a matter of fact, it seems like in her work she's always doing very, and I thought that would be a really good scene for her and for me, and it would be nice for us to do it together. And we just didn't have any time.
It could happen.
Might.